G'day, Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series, and welcome to another episode of Servicing Your 4x4. Here today what I'm going to be talking about is where do you get your spare parts from? Where are the best places to get those really rare spare parts to keep your Land Rover going and more? And this is something that I think is very, very important because we all want to keep what is irrefutably one of the best four-wheel drives out there on the market on the road for another adventure and more. So as always, you know exactly what to do. Click on that subscribe button down below, click on that notification button too, but most importantly, stay tuned. Right, so what are the companies you should be looking for, or the companies that have worked well for me over the years? Now, we've all got particular companies that we use, and we use them for different reasons, and no doubt there'll be a few here today that I don't mention that should be mentioned and more. So please feel free to leave a comment down below, because you're not just helping myself and everyone else here at Seriously Series, you're helping everyone else who views this video here today or well into the future. Now, I've divided these up into a couple different categories, and they've all got different purposes, because let's be honest, there's no such thing as a perfect individual and there's no such thing as a perfect business. They all have particular strengths and they all have particular specialities, and it's our job to find the business that has the right speciality that we require to give us the parts that we need or the services that we require. So all these companies you can buy parts from. I'll aim to put some links in the description box down below. So one of the great local companies that we've got here in Western Australia is TDA, TDA Discovery Automotive. And these guys are fantastic to deal with. They're a small business, so they don't keep a huge amount of spare parts in stock. That's not a bad thing. But if you're looking for a genuine, very specialised part, they're the ones for you. It might take a bit of time, but they'll be able to track it down, because Julian has literally grown up with Land Rovers. His father ran and actually built the business itself, and so they've got incredible contacts all throughout the world in terms of being able to find those, unique spare parts that are a little bit hard to come by. An example of that is I was able to buy some new old stock front leaf springs for my Series 3 Land Rover, which was quite remarkable that they were even able to get them. So TDA Automotive is a really good one. Now, if I'm looking for parts that I want to be old new stock once more, and particularly if it's something to do with the motor, there's one company that really has an incredible array of stock that has probably been around there for quite some time, and this is British OffRoad in Queensland. And I actually bought some big end bearings for the Series 3 motor that's getting rebuilt for the third time. Yes, that's another subject for another video, but nevertheless they actually had them in stock. They even had a near complete Welsh plug or core set for the actual motor too, which is something that's not easy to come by on a day-by-day basis. So they work really, really well for those more specialty parts, I find. And then if I'm wanting something a little bit specialised again, but for the Land Rover Parenti, then you just can't go past Brad and the team at KLR Automotive. Now, they don't just do stuff for Land Rover Parentis, they do stuff for the series vehicles, the Defender, the Discovery, the Freelander and more. So even if you don't have a Land Rover, they might have some bits for you too, so don't be too dismissive of this video as of yet. But what I love about Brad and the team and what KLR offers is there's so many Land Rover genuine spare parts. And if they can't get a genuine spare part, they literally get the best possible quality part that they can in an OME brand. For example, I think it's Ktic make these fantastic seals, and I think they're made in Italy of all places. So, you know, they have a great array of them and more, so you can spend hours and hours and hours window shopping, filling up that cart, and then realising that's a lot of money. Maybe we scale it back a little bit and wait for the next payday and then get all your parts through there. So KLR Automotive, they're based in Sydney, and they're your Parenti one-stop shop basically. It's incredible what they've got. Now, sometimes I need something for the series Land Rovers, and I just need to get it done, and I just need it quickly. Not that the other companies can't do that, they can, but one company that has a really good array of parts is all 4x4 spares. It's quite amazing at the amount of parts that they actually have for the series vehicles. So if I'm needing something relatively quickly, something small like maybe a couple of gaskets or something, I generally go through all 4x4 spares, or I'll be calling, you know, KLR Automotive and seeing what they've got in stock too. So fantastic. I've been dealing with all 4x4 spares on and off now for nearly 18 years, and they originally started with the series Land Rovers. They offer a lot of services that a lot of other companies don't. I just got the steering relay for the stage 1 actually rebuilt by them there. So they offer a reconditioning transaction service for that, and a few other parts for your series Land Rovers too, which is hard to come by these days. Now, if I'm wanting genuine spare parts and they're a bit more specialised, and I'm wanting old new stock, a fantastic company that Adam, a good friend of the community here in the channel, that is Seriously Series, put me onto is PA Blanchards. That's how I pronounce it. You might pronounce it differently too, but they are fantastic. They're based in the UK, and the amount of spare parts that they must have in their catalogue is incredible. I was able to find a lot of spare parts for the Land Rover Series 3 Stage 1 front differential setup or axle setup, which is, you know, they're becoming quite rare, and to find good quality parts too, particularly when it comes to seals and that, is quite difficult. So I was really amazed to find what they actually have there. Now, even though they're old new stock parts, a lot of them, you're not paying really ridiculous prices from this company. They're actually quite competitive. And one of the things I like about this company, as opposed to some of the other, you know, companies based in the UK, is that they're very prompt in how they actually pack up the parts. Within 48 hours to 72 hours, the parts are packed. If they're not, you're notified, which is really good. And if it's a small consignment of parts, they'll actually just pop them in the Royal Mail, which is a heck of a lot cheaper than paying for actual couriers and all the rest to get them all the way from England all the way to Australia. Now, with the Royal Mail, it takes about 2 weeks, but that's pretty good, I think, because it can take just that as long again to get a parcel from Sydney to Perth in Western Australia, right across Australia at large. So not a bad effort. But sometimes they don't have the parts I require either, as I'm sure it is for you too. And one company that I've dealt with on and off over the years, and some people, you know, are a little bit hurt and burnt by them, but I think they've always been quite good for me, is John Ktic. It's amazing at what John Ktic actually has. They certainly do have the largest array of Land Rover parts out there. But I think particularly during COVID they struggled quite a bit, and that, you know, maybe you could say it's down to them. I think it's probably down to all businesses and all parts suppliers as a whole. It was a very difficult time for all of us, some more than others. So, you know, things like my rear springs for the Series 1 80-inch, you know, they took 12 months to get here. So if you're wanting something in a pressing hurry, get it within your home country. If you don't mind waiting a little bit, then, you know, obviously somewhere like John Ktic is going to have a much greater array of parts and you know, if you don't mind waiting, they'll get to you eventually. One thing I do find with John Ktic, and why I like PA Blanchards quite a bit, is because John Ktic, they do get them to you relatively quickly if they're in stock, but they use DHL couriers, which are very good, but they are very expensive. So with the pound and the Australian dollar at the moment, you can almost, and the distance, you can almost pay the same amount or more in postage as you do for the actual parts themselves. So you just got to be a little bit careful there, and I guess decide how much do you actually need that part itself. But anyway, these are just a few companies that I've used over the years. You know, as I've said, KLR Automotive, they're helping us a huge amount here at Seriously Series in terms of the Parenti. We've got other projects coming up with them too. Goldfields OffRoad are fantastic in servicing the Parenti and keeping that up to spec. It means I have more time to work on the series Land Rovers and edit and shoot videos for you here too. So there's plenty of good companies out there. But anyway, I've got to get off and fix some Land Rovers, because they don't fix themselves, do they? Certainly they don't. But if you've enjoyed this video, if you found this informative and useful to you, then please do consider supporting Seriously Series on Patreon. All proceeds on Patreon go to the production of these videos. It keeps the lights on, it keeps the landies running, which means we can bring more adventures your way. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video and catch you then.